Some games of the roguelike variety suck me in, then spit me back out a few hours later, because they've got a difficulty curve to their gameplay that I'm either going to enjoy or get increasingly frustrated by. Sometimes the loss of progress is just too much for me to bother with, and that's why I never finished Spelunky. On the other hand, I did finish The Swindle, which had roguelike elements, but toned down the loss of progression if you screwed things up, and at the same time managed to make failure in a stealth game interesting and persistent. Rare achievements, to be sure. Basingstoke is a stealth game that's similar to The Swindle, in that when you die you lose all the progress you've made on your current mission, and you get to try again. It's also like Spelunky, because when your character dies, that's it. Which can be frustrating as hell, because a significant portion of the levels are randomly generated. And if you found some useful items on your unsuccessful run, they're gone now. It turns out this is a great way to make a stealth action survival horror game. I've spent around a dozen hours pounding the streets of Basingstoke, and I honestly think it's one of the best indie stealth games out there. It's also one of the hardest. The adjustment between the peak of a successful run and the valley of an untimely demise is a rough experience, but if you can adjust to that, you'll find a lot to like about Basingstoke. At the beginning of the game, you're an office worker who managed to survive an event that brought the apocalypse to town. Zombies, aliens, and gigantic tentacle creatures are in control of the streets, and you have to sneak past them and find your way out. Despite the dark tone of this narrative, Basingstoke delivers its gameplay with distinctly British humour. This is a game where you can make a flamethrower out of bottles of hairspray and a lighter, or craft beer bombs, or even add some nails to a cricket bat for extra punchiness. Coffee and fruit juice serve as power-ups for speed and night vision. There are over 100 potential crafting recipes, including more powerful items like silenced firearms, nail guns, and pipe bombs. But before you loot and craft some of the more exotic tools, you're relying a lot on stealth and improvised melee weapons. You can hide from enemies in wheelie bins. Food items like sausage rolls, sandwiches, and kebabs, staples of the British diet, can be thrown to entice enemies away from you. If you find some chili sauce, this can be added to sandwiches or kebabs, creating an item that will make enemies burst into flames when they eat it. This is total nonsense, and I love it. Basingstoke's crafting system is so diverse, it's a great motivation to return to previous levels and see what else you can find. At the end of a level, you stash all the items you were carrying and have to select a few of these to take with you at the beginning of the next. You can permanently boost your carrying capacity by finding suitcases. Basingstoke's stealth system has some clever design choices I want to point out here. Your character's footsteps. Now, normally in stealth games that make use of footsteps, walking is quiet and running makes noise, and sometimes this is accentuated by differences in the kind of surface your character's feet are on. In Basingstoke, if you're walking, you're pretty much a ghost. The smart thing here is that when your character starts moving quickly, there's a pause between when they build up speed and when their footsteps start to generate large amounts of noise. This makes dashing away from danger over short distances much more feasible, but turns to a disadvantage if you keep running and ends up attracting foes ahead of you. Another thing is your flashlight. This tool allows you to scope much further ahead for enemies and find loot. Leave it on for too long though, and it'll inevitably alert monsters to your location. So, between light levels and movement, puppy games put you in this space where you have to decide when to restrain yourself. Because you can die from a single hit, this leads to seriously tense scenarios where you're waiting for a chance to move past groups of enemies you might not be able to see entirely. This is where things like the sound design and overall dark aesthetic of Basingstoke really landed with me. Visually, it's a minimalist style, but the animations, music and sound effects pulled me into this world of chibi survival horror, and I won't deny I had more than a few scares. Since its release back in 2018, Basingstoke has managed to fly under everyone's radar. Looking at YouTube, there are a couple of first impression videos out there, but it seems like nobody has made a video review for this game, and nobody is talking about all the things it succeeds at. The lead developer has written 2 candid blog posts on their Patreon page, going into what went right for them during and after development, as well as all the things that went wrong. If you want to read some brutal material, I recommend checking them out in my pinned comment below. My opinion doesn't count for much, but I think the title of the game could definitely have communicated its central theme better. Maybe escape from Basingstoke? Sadly, this is all irrelevant now. Or is it? Fellow stealth game enthusiasts, do yourselves a favour. Put Basingstoke on your to-play list. Is it perfect? Not by any stretch. The controls are occasionally awkward, it's unforgiving, and the system for unlocking extra characters is a bit too opaque for my liking. All of this is minor detail though. Basingstoke is an excellent and well-presented take on the stealth genre, and it doesn't deserve to be forgotten.